Hey guys, Abel here, back with another video, and this is just going to be a shorter video on a topic that was bothering me for a while and was thinking about making some sort of content on this topic for a while now. And just today, as I was going through some of my YouTube comments and was moderating things, it became more relevant again. So here we go. This is the video. So the topic that I want to address in this short video is that of calorie intake. If you've been watching my stuff for a while, if you've seen some of my videos on this is how I got shredded, this is how I did this mini cut, I just got fat, I did a dreamer bulk, you may have noticed that I'm not talking about how many calories I'm eating that much. Now, I will mention it here and there, for example, in my recent videos where I was talking about my shredding diet when I got down to 7% body fat or so, I did mention that I was tracking calories near the end and I was eating about 2,200 calories, but this is not something that I'm talking about that much. Now, the main reason behind me not talking about how many calories I'm eating for the most part is that for the most part, I'm actually not tracking my calories. Even when I'm cutting and losing fat, for as long as I can get away with it, I prefer to manage my diet ad libitum, and I just like to manage food choices and tweak the satiety index of my diet, and that is how I prefer to ensure that I'm in an energy deficit. Now, almost under every video where I'm talking about a fat loss phase that I did or a gaining phase that I did, I will get questions about how many calories I'm eating. And some of these comments, quite honestly, just blew my mind. I mean, some of them, I wouldn't say were attacking me, but were kind of alluding to the fact that I'm somehow not being transparent with things and I'm intentionally holding back information and not telling people what I'm actually doing. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here. Now, the first thing I have to say about this, and this might just be the overly sensitive content producer in me saying this, but I'm kind of getting annoyed when I'm seeing comments like this, because you could actually get this information if you actually paid attention or if you actually watched the video that you're commenting under. I mean, specifically, I've gotten comments under one video where I explicitly said I was eating around 2,200 calories near the end of my diet. And then I've gotten comments saying, hey, so Eric Helms is transparent about his calories and Jeff Albers as well. Why can't you just tell how many calories you're eating? So that's kind of the first thing I want to say. The second kind of disclaimer that I should make here is that I'm kind of purposefully not emphasizing the numbers themselves in my videos. And that is because to the best of my abilities, I'm trying to educate people in my videos and communicate principles and concepts. So in the case of my shredding diet, when I got down to very low levels of body fat, I was going through all the challenges I overcame, all the lessons that I've learned over the course of my diet. And honestly, compared to those, the actual number of calories I ate is just so irrelevant. And in that specific context, when I make a 20-minute long video outlining how you can manage a really tough diet and the things that you should be prepared for, and at the end of all of that, I see a comment that just says, how many calories did you eat? I kind of feel like, for lack of a better term, like I've been just shit in the face. The best analogy that I can come up with here is, let's say you're into literature and you're some sort of a drama nut and you're giving a really long presentation about Romeo and Juliet and you're going through all the intricacies of the drama. So this is how Romeo and Juliet met and this is the internal battle that they're battling with. These are the two families. They are in opposition with one another. How can the youngsters manage all of this? And then you're done with the whole presentation and some guy raises his hand and says, so did Juliet have big boobs? And you would be like, what the fuck, dude? So kind of the same thing is going on here. I mean, I really feel like there are just much more important concepts that I'm trying to communicate with my videos than some actual arbitrary number, which at the end of the day just doesn't mean anything to you specifically. And that is the second thing that I want to emphasize here is there are a lot of misconceptions about what you can actually take away from some other person's number. I mean, the actual calorie amount that two people will have to consume on a fat loss diet is just so enormously variable. And that might be true even if the two people are of the same body size, same body weight, body fat percentage, everything. I mean, take the example of myself and Eric Helms, for example. I mean, I'm 6 foot tall, 80 kilograms-ish when I'm lean. When I'm shredded, I'm actually 76 kilos or so. Eric Helms is about the same height. He's actually more muscular than I am, is actually heavier at a very shredded body weight, and he will have to diet on much lower calories than I do. So that just goes to show you that the actual calorie numbers just don't mean anything to you. I mean, you might be the same 6 foot tall guy, similar build, similar body structure, and you might be able to diet on 3,000 calories, or you might be one of these unfortunate individuals with a great deal of metabolic adaptation, and you might have to diet on 1,500 calories, whereas I'm cruising along on 2,200 calories. And this brings me to the other big lesson and one of the biggest misconceptions about calorie intake, and that is people think intuitively, and this is something that I used to think as well, that more calories on a fat loss phase means an easier time dieting and losing fat. And that is just simply not the case. Now, again, I'm not trying to talk down to you. I had this misconception as well. For example, I know that Alberto Nunez, who is not a super big guy, but he will diet on really, really high numbers. I mean, the calorie amount that he will have to use to diet down to shredded levels of body fat are bulking numbers for people even bigger than him. And I used to think, man, he must have it easy. Whereas some guy who has to diet on 1500 calories, I mean, he must struggle like crazy. The truth is, if you're creating an energy gap, which means you're eating less calories than what your body would want to take in to maintain homeostasis, you're going to struggle a given amount. And that given amount is going to be the same, basically, whether or not you're dieting on 2000 calories or 2500 or 3000. An energy deficit is an energy deficit. Now, I understand that this is a concept that is a bit hard to grasp and understand or accept. And intuitively, it does make a lot of sense that if you have more calories to play with, then you can just have more flexibility. I mean, you can fit in some more fun foods, you can have bigger meals, you can take your time with your meals more. But if you're creating an energy deficit, and especially if you're getting very, very lean, you're going to struggle at a certain point no matter what. I mean, I was eating 2200 calories and I've seen comments on my YouTube channel saying, I wish I could eat 2200 calories. Trust me, those 2200 calories were not fun. And yes, I had big meals with a lot of salads and protein and strawberries and things like that. And honestly, it's hard to even describe, but basically no matter how big my meals were, it just felt like the food was going in and I was clearing my plate and my satiety responses were just not there. I felt like I was eating and nothing was just getting better internally. I mean, that's how I felt when I was at 7% body fat. So you cannot really win. No matter how high your calories are, you're going to struggle when you're getting very lean. And as far as fun foods are concerned and the flexibility, I mean, trust me, when you're getting shredded, you will not want to fit in fun foods into your diet. I mean, those will just make you hungrier no matter what. The same thing kind of applies to volumetrics as well. So yes, if you have more calories to play with, you have more of a room to make bigger meals, more voluminous, larger plates of food that you can eat. But I mean, when you're creating an energy gap, when you're very, very lean, you will get to a point where you might be bloated all the time from all the fiber and high volume stuff that you're eating, but you're not actually satiated. Really, the two main lessons that I want you to take away from all of this is how many calories I'm eating or he is eating or she is eating is completely irrelevant for you because your numbers will be different. Even if you're of a similar body size as I am or you have a similar activity level that I have, your metabolism and your body is just different. And the other big lesson is don't be envious of my numbers. I was envious of Alberto Nunez's numbers before, and now I know that it is just silly. An energy gap, an energy deficit is an energy deficit. If you're getting super, super lean, you go below your set point or settling point, and you're creating that energy deficit, you're going to struggle no matter what. And I want to apologize if at times it felt like I'm not being transparent or like I'm intentionally holding back information. I mean, there is nothing secret here. My cutting calories will typically be between 2200 and 2400. I will maintain at around 2800, 3000, maybe 3200 if I'm more active. And at 3500 calories or so, I will just start steadily gaining, and I can gain infinitely basically on that number of calories. My metabolism is just not super adaptive. But one of the biggest reasons why I just don't talk about this stuff too much is that I just don't track my calories for the majority of the year. I actually didn't track my calories before this shredding diet for like 2 years. And even here, I only tracked it for the last like 2 months or so. And as soon as the diet was over, I very quickly transitioned back to ad libitum eating or intuitive eating. And I was not tracking my nutrition since then. So that is probably the biggest reason why I'm just not emphasizing my calorie intake that much. So hopefully this video cleared up a couple of things. I hope that it was informative to some of you. If you liked the video, like it, let me know what you thought, and subscribe for more content like this. And that's all I had to say in this video, and see you in the next one.